When a government potentially denies 10 million people the right to vote in an election they're expected to lose, that's not democracy, that's cowardice. And that's exactly what Labour might be doing with the May local elections. Across the UK, 29 councils have either announced delays or have yet to formally decide whether to press ahead. And here's the picker: 21 of them are run by Labour. While Labour councils are delaying and dithering, only 2 Tory-run authorities are postponing votes, along with a single Lib Dem council. 4 Labour councils have already confirmed they're delaying, all in areas where Reform UK is surging. In Hyndburn, a recent poll showed Reform at 39%, while Labour was sat adrift in third with just 16%. Reform at 39%, Labour at 16%. That's not a close race, that's a wipeout. Labour isn't just losing in Hyndburn, they're being humiliated. They're in third place, behind Reform and presumably the Conservatives. And faced with that reality, what does Labour-controlled Hyndburn Council do? They delay the election. They say, actually, we're not going to let voters have their say right now. We're going to postpone it. Now, the official justification for these delays is that councils are being reorganized. There's a process called local government reorganization where multiple smaller councils merge into larger unitary authorities. This is supposed to improve efficiency, reduce costs, create economies of scale. And when councils are being reorganized, it makes sense to align elections with the new structures, rather than holding elections for councils that are about to be abolished or merged. That's a reasonable argument in principle. But the timing is deeply suspicious. Why is this reorganization happening now? Why are these specific councils being reorganized at this specific time when Labour is facing electoral disaster in polling? You have to question the motives. Just 4 local authorities under the control of Keir Starmer's party have confirmed they will not postpone ballots. So out of all the Labour-run councils that could postpone, only 4 have said no, we're going ahead as planned. 17 are still yet to decide. That's 1 week out from a January 15 deadline. So with a week to go, 17 Labour councils haven't decided whether they're going to allow their residents to vote. That's extraordinary. This isn't a complex logistical question. You either hold the election as scheduled or you don't. The fact that so many Labour councils are delaying the decision suggests they're waiting to see what other Labour councils do, or they're waiting for guidance from the National Party, or they're hoping the deadline gets extended. None of those are good reasons to deny people the vote. By contrast, only 2 Tory-run authorities will delay a vote, along with a single Liberal Democrat council. So the Conservatives and Lib Dems aren't math-postponing elections. It's overwhelmingly a Labour phenomenon. That tells you this isn't about genuine administrative concerns or logistical problems. If it was, you'd see the delay spread evenly across parties. Instead, it's concentrated in Labour areas, which strongly suggests political motivation rather than practical necessity. While it is anticipated that the majority of councils will not delay elections, the Labour-run quartet, Preston, Chorley, Hyndburn, and Blackburn with Darwin, have already postponed. So 4 Labour councils have definitely delayed, and all 4 are in Lancashire. And all 4 are areas where Reform UK is surging in the polls. Let's focus on Hyndburn, because the polling there is stunning. A recent poll revealed Nigel Farage's party was rating at 39%, while Labour was sat adrift in third with just 16%. Reform at 39%, Labour at 16%. That's not a close race, that's a wipeout. Labour isn't just losing in Hyndburn, they're being humiliated. They're in third place, behind Reform and presumably the Conservatives. And faced with that reality, what does Labour-controlled Hyndburn Council do? They delay the election. They say, actually, we're not going to let voters have their say right now. We're going to postpone it. Now, the official justification for these delays is that councils are being reorganized. There's a process called local government reorganization, where multiple smaller councils merge into larger unitary authorities. This is supposed to improve efficiency, reduce costs, create economies of scale. And when councils are being reorganized, it makes sense to align elections with the new structures, rather than holding elections for councils that are about to be abolished or merged. That's a reasonable argument in principle. But the timing is deeply suspicious. Why is this reorganization happening now? Why are these specific councils being reorganized at this specific time when Labour is facing electoral disaster in polling? You have to question the motives. Nigel Farage has no doubt about what's happening. He's accused Labour of postponing the votes to save the party from electoral humiliation, and he's not mincing words. This is the kind of outrageous behavior you expect from a banana republic. Labour is damaging our democracy. Banana republic is a term used to describe a politically unstable country with a corrupt or dictatorial government. Farage is saying canceling elections to avoid losing is what authoritarian regimes do, not what democratic governments do. And while that's hyperbolic, it's not entirely unfair, because if the reason these elections are being delayed is to protect Labour from losing, that is anti-democratic. Elections are supposed to happen at regular intervals. Voters are supposed to have the opportunity to hold their representatives to account. If those representatives can just cancel elections when they know they're going to lose, democracy is broken. A spokesman for the Liberal Democrats fumed that the government's actions mean that 10 million people could see their democratic right to an election this May and choice over who governs them locally ripped away. We're calling on the government to reverse course and take these proposals off the table. So the Lib Dems, who aren't benefiting from these delays, are calling it anti-democratic. They're saying 10 million people are having their rights ripped away. That's strong language, and it's coming from a party that's generally quite moderate and parliamentary in their approach. If the Lib Dems are using language like ripped away, that tells you this is serious. The Tories have accused Labour of denying democracy and running scared of voters because the party knows it's in for a pasting at the ballot box. Denying democracy, running scared, in for a pasting. The Conservatives are being very direct about what they think is happening. Labour knows they're going to lose badly in May. They know voters are angry, they know reform is surging, so they're trying to delay the reckoning. They're hoping that if they can delay elections for a year or two, maybe things will have improved by then. Maybe their policies will have started working. Maybe reform support will have collapsed. Maybe they'll have a chance of winning. It's a desperate gamble based on wishful thinking, because nothing suggests things are going to get better for Labour. If anything, they're likely to get worse. The Prime Minister has denied the locals represent a referendum on his government. He told the BBC, "I was elected in 2024 with a 5-year mandate to change the country, and that's what I intend to do." So Starmer is trying to downplay the significance of the May elections. He's saying these are just local elections. They're not about me or my government. I've got a 5-year mandate from the general election. But that's not how it works. Local elections are always partly about the national government. Voters use them to express their views on how the country is being run. If they're happy with the government, they tend to vote for that party in local elections. If they're unhappy, they vote against them. Starmer can say it's not a referendum all he wants, but voters will treat it as one. And if Labour gets destroyed in May, it will be seen as a referendum on his leadership and his government. And he knows it. That's why he's trying to preemptively downplay the results. The 5-year mandate argument is also weak. Yes, Labour won the general election in 2024 with a large majority, but that doesn't mean voters can't change their minds. That doesn't mean Labour gets to govern without accountability for 5 years. Democracy doesn't work that way. You get elected, you govern, you face regular elections at local and devolved levels, and voters express their views on how you're doing. If those views are negative, you adjust course or you get voted out at the next general election. You don't get to say, "I have a mandate, so nothing you think matters for 5 years." That's not democracy. That's elected dictatorship. The question of whether these delays are legal and procedurally proper is important. If the delays are part of the genuine, long-planned process of local government reorganization that was initiated before Labour knew they were in trouble, then it's harder to argue they're politically motivated. But if the reorganization plans were accelerated or the timing was chosen to coincide with Labour's polling collapse, then it looks like a political fix. And the fact that so many Labour councils are delaying, while very few Conservative or Lib Dem councils aren't, suggests this isn't a neutral administrative process. It's a political decision dressed up as administration. The impact on voters is also significant. If you're a resident of one of these councils and you were planning to vote in May, you're now being told you can't. Maybe you're angry about how your local council is run. Maybe you think they're wasting money or not providing good services. Maybe you were looking forward to voting them out, and now you're told you don't get that opportunity. That's frustrating and disempowering. It makes people cynical about democracy. It makes them think the system is rigged, that politicians only respect democracy when it benefits them. And that cynicism is dangerous because it drives people away from mainstream politics towards extremes. Some will stop voting altogether. Others will become radicalized. Neither is good for democratic stability. The Reform UK angle is also crucial. The 4 Labour councils that have definitely delayed elections are all in areas where reform is surging. That's not coincidence. Labour is terrified of reform. They see the polling showing reform leading nationally and dominating in traditional Labour heartlands. They know that if elections are held in May, reform is going to win seats. Reform is going to gain legitimacy as a party that can actually win elections at all levels, not just attract protest votes in polls.